So let's talk about this life-threatening cold. We are now expecting a life-threatening polar vortex to hit a good chunk of the United States. It's going to come all the way from Canada and go all the way into Texas. Even Dallas is expected to get to about 16 degrees on Wednesday. Now, you're probably thinking, well, I don't live in Dallas. Many people don't, but here's the issue. It's going to impact the central part of the United States and start to push west. We've already seen massive floods. We've seen floods in, Kentucky, in Virginia, West Virginia. We saw floods in California just recently. It's devastating what's happening. Not only is it taking people's lives, where several people have lost their lives just over the past couple days, but we're also seeing it is starting to take property. People are losing their homes. But there's a reason why I'm bringing this to your attention today. When we see floods, when we see snowstorms, it usually affects a certain part of the United States, a certain region. Well, when we see a polar vortex, here's what happens. Things get so cold, and if there's any precipitation, it turns into ice immediately. So, I'm giving you this warning today on Monday because you need to understand that it's time to be prepared. If you live in the area, so this is coming from, Montana, this is coming from, the Dakotas, right? If you live in the area, you need to be prepared immediately. But if you live on either side, you also need to be prepared as well, because we are going to see there's going to be less fuel delivered. So if you haven't fueled up your vehicle, do it now. Okay? Do it now before gas stations run out of gas. Make sure you have an extra heater in case the electricity goes out, in case gas sometimes, again, just doesn't work. Make sure you're ready. For people that have electric vehicles, make sure they're charged up. Make sure they're charged up, but at the same time, here's the issue. It gets so cold, electric vehicles don't work. I have a friend that lives down in the Dallas, Fort Worth area, and he was telling me the same thing. He's a little bit concerned because he just recently sold his only gas-powered vehicle. So now he doesn't have a gas-powered vehicle. And that was something that I recommended years ago. Is we were seeing an issue with EV. We were seeing an issue with chargers. And so one of the things that I said is, if you want to have an electric vehicle, perfect, that's great. Okay, go for it. But at the same time, at least have one gas-powered vehicle. And I said that because in the event it gets too cold, in the event that electric vehicles just don't work, you need to have something that is reliable, something that uses gas. Well, he sold his. So now he's scrambling to try to find a loaner vehicle, even rent one, just for a few days in the event that electric vehicles don't work. Now, there's another issue. We are going to see food prices go up a little bit more. And this is something that we've been seeing, okay? Weather here in the United States has been very odd this past season, okay? This past year. All the way from the summer months to the fall, all the way into the winter. Now we're heading towards the end of winter, but some are now starting to see more rain, more snow, and more cold. Be prepared. Have an extra heater if you have one, or if you need to go buy one, go do that. Make sure you're ready to go. And again, I say this because a lot of people have not been prepared. Haven't been prepared for a flood, haven't been prepared for excessive rain, snow, right, hail. The hardest thing to do is prepare for an emergency, because you don't know how far to go. But again, I bring this up every time. If you're driving across a mountain pass here I'm not in Washington State right now, but in Washington State, we have several mountain passes that you have to go across to get to different parts of the state. And so that's something that we're just accustomed to is, okay, make sure you have a little bit of water in the car just in case, have extra blankets just in case, carry chains and snow socks for your tires just in case. These are all things that are very important to do. Now, this polar vortex is going to be different. In the plains, we are expected to see weather is going to drop potentially about -60 degrees. Now, there are certain cities that are somewhat equipped for this, but the majority are not. And that's why I'm bringing this to your attention, is because if you live in Kansas City, Mobile, Alabama, these are cities that are expected to see a big drop in temperature. Be ready. Be prepared. Okay, because this is coming. Now, according to the National Weather Service, they're saying this is I believe the 10th. This is the 10th polar vortex of this year. And this is projected to be the coldest polar vortex of this year. But it's not expected to be the last. That's what's crazy. We've had 10 polar vortexes hit the U.S. This is going to be the coldest so far, but it will not be the last. Now, I want to leave you with one thing. When it comes to dealing with cold, there's many things that you can do. But the biggest advice that experts have and meteorologists give is to stay home. Stay inside. Make sure you have enough food and water, right, at your house. You don't have to leave. Because when the roads get a little bit slick and they turn into ice, we see accidents. I remember in the last polar vortex we had, I warned a lot of people, especially in Kansas City, that area. I told them, don't go out. Just stay home. Whatever you do, just stay home. And one person said he listened to my video. He thought about it. But he really needed to get something from the store. Didn't say what. Really needed to get something from the store. Decided he was going to go to whatever store it was to pick up what he needed. He never made it to that store. He's still alive. He's still with us. It's great. But he never made it to that store because about less than 5 minutes into his trip, his car was stuck. It was not moving. It was on a sheet of ice. It was not moving. There was nobody around him. He was in the middle of a highway, and nobody was around him. He was stuck, just sitting there. So again, when you see these warnings about a polar vortex or life-threatening cold, whatever it may be, right? Listen to those warnings. Look at the weather in your area and determine, is this going to impact you? And if so, how much? How much is this going to impact you? Okay? So again, I will leave you with that, but that's what's happening. That is what is coming over the next few days, is we're going to see this polar vortex come down from Canada and hit all the way from the northern part of the U.S., all the way the central part, and it's going to spread from there. As to how wide it may be, that is something we don't know exactly, but according to the National Weather Service, this is going to impact about 60 million people. So again, be prepared. Well, I will leave you with that, but as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.